Mr. Speaker, Canadians do not like corruption. 4 people have left the PM's close entourage since last January, and he continues to say that nothing happened. Yet the former Attorney General says the opposite. She said that this is serious and that some questions remain unanswered. You know, Mr. Speaker, the more something drags on, the worse it gets. And this story smells of corruption. Canadians want to know the truth. What is the Prime Minister hiding, and what is he so afraid of? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, the Ethics Commissioner is investigating. We know that he is perfectly able to do that work, and he must be allowed to do that work. Now, we know that the Conservatives do not want to hear the debate on the budget. Today is Budget Day. We know that our plan is working for Canadians. And I think that the Conservatives know that Canadians want to hear their plan, but they don't have a plan. So they're playing politics rather than speaking about measures that would help Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill.
Mr. Speaker, the former Treasury Board president said she had lost confidence in the government when she resigned. I can relate to that. The Liberals dismissed her resignation, claiming there was still nothing to see. But I know she wouldn't have resigned over nothing. The Prime Minister has sacrificed the rule of law and attacked our democracy. Canadians need the whole truth, not just what he wants us to hear. What is the Prime Minister so afraid of? What is the Prime Minister so desperate to hide?
Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, since 1987, there's been 4 occasions where cabinet confidence was lifted. This Prime Minister not only waived cabinet confidence, this Prime Minister also waived solicitor-client privilege. Right. Solicitor-client privilege it actually is a factor for Attorney Generals. During the time that she was the former Attorney General, that privilege was lifted so that Canadians could hear. We on this side will focus on Canadians while Conservatives play politics. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Today we learned that SNC-Lavalin bought a $38 million yacht for the son of Muammar Gaddafi in exchange for contracts. I want to go back to this issue with the OECD. The Foreign Affairs Minister watched 2 of her colleagues resign on principle to stand against the Prime Minister and his role in this greasy scandal. Yep. Why is she letting herself be used on the international stage for this abrogation of Canadian democracy?
Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs. Order.
Mr. Speaker, I am extremely proud to speak for Canada, to speak for our amazing country on the international stage. And because I wasn't fully heard when the member for Durham posed his astonishing question, let me just say that it is both insulting and absurd to the people of Canada, as well as to the people suffering from the dictatorship of Maduro and Putin, to make any comparison between our countries.
Honourable Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
What is insulting and absurd is that this government stands up day after day and gives cover for insulting Canadian democratic institutions for a company that bought prostitutes for Muammar Gaddafi's son. Every single one of these ministers that stands up, the Justice Committee today, the Liberal members that gave this Prime Minister quarter, need to be ashamed of themselves. The Foreign Affairs Minister of all women in this caucus, who stands on behalf of Canada, should get this right. Why is she giving this Prime Minister?
Order. The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, since the member has spoken about women and foreign affairs. Let me talk about what our government is doing to advance the rights of women in the world. Let me talk about what we are doing to stand up for women's rights activists in Saudi Arabia. Let me talk about what we are doing to stand up for reproductive health and access to reproductive health services for all the women in Canada and the world.
The honourable member for Timmins, James Bay.
It was just a few days ago the Prime Minister's office promised the anti-bribery unit of the OECD that the Liberals would host, quote, robust hearings into the allegations of the former Attorney General, and today they shut those hearings down to keep the former Attorney General from speaking. And to change the channel, the Prime Minister is bringing back Sheila Kopp's old seatmate from the sponsorship scandal, Anne McLeod, who's presently raising money for the Liberal Party. You can't appoint someone who's raising cash for the Liberals to reassure Canadians that Liberals aren't breaking the law. Doesn't the Prime Minister understand this? Who's giving him his advice these days?
The honourable government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, these are definitely tactics and approaches I expect from the Conservatives, but the NDP definitely should, I would say, return to what they used to once fight for. I'm not sure why they've forgotten their ways, but we are going to fight for Canadians. We're going to fight for jobs, Mr. Speaker, and we know that our plan is working. But when it comes to that member's question, the Honourable Anne McLeod has supported and encouraged women to run as candidates across all political parties for a really long time. We know that we need more women to run for office, and that member also knows that the Honourable Anne McLeod will not be at that fundraiser now that she's accepted this role.
Honourable member. The order. The honourable member for Timmins, James Bay.
She canceled the fundraiser. How did we come from sunny ways to these dog show days? This Prime Minister promised to be an ethical alternative to the backroom control of Stephen Harper and the cronyism of Jean Chrétien, and he's proven to be the worst of both. And he's burning through his credibility here by trying to shut down the investigation into SNC. So let's put it simple. This is about leadership. This is about integrity. This is about the rule of law. Doesn't the Prime Minister understand that, or does he just not care?
The honourable government House Leader.
Speaker, that question and the preamble prior to it was entirely misleading, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Anne McLeod was attending an event. She will no longer be attending that event now that she's taken on.
Order.
The honourable member for Beauport-Côte-de-Beaupré, come to order.
Come to order. We need to hear both the questions and the answers. Let's show a little respect for each other here and for this place. Order. Order. The honourable member for Calgary Signal Hill will come to order. Order. The honourable member for Carleton. The honourable member for Carleton.
Speaker, the deputy leader of the Conservatives asked the former Attorney General, can you tell us what you discussed with the Prime Minister at your meetings in Vancouver on February 11th? Answer, I cannot. Can you tell us what was discussed with the Cabinet on February 19th? Answer, I cannot. Mr. Speaker, what happened in those meetings that was so egregious and disgraceful that the Prime Minister feels he has to cover it all up?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Speaker, the Justice Committee has looked into this matter. The Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner is investigating this matter. There is an ongoing court case, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to the two dates that member is asking about, the former Attorney General was not the Attorney General on those dates. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Carleton. Order.
That's exactly how they justified banning her from speaking about the events that she witnessed during that time. And we know those events must have been egregious. So egregious that she felt she had to resign. But when the Deputy Conservative leader asked, "Can you tell us why you resigned?" the answer, "I cannot." Now, we simply asked for her to come back and finish the rest of the story. Today, we had a motion to do that, but the Prime Minister shut down the Justice Committee investigation. What is so egregious and ugly that the Prime Minister needed to cover it all up?
Honourable Government House Leader.
Speaker, the matter before the Justice Committee was in regards to her time as Attorney General. So the Prime Minister waived solicitor-client privilege for her time as Attorney General. The Prime Minister waived cabinet confidence for her time as the Attorney General. That's exactly what took place. But the member basically is on a fishing trip. Then the member can choose to play their politics of division and what they do, but we'll focus on Canadians. We're going to focus on the 300,000 children that have been lifted out of poverty, and we're hoping that even more are with our plan. Yes. Thank you.
The honourable member for Carleton.
When the Globe and Mail first reported about this scandal, the Prime Minister said it was all a lie.
That's right.
And he said proof is that his Attorney General was still in Cabinet.
Yeah. Right.
Well, the next day, she resigned. And then he said, "Oh, I'm disappointed in her. That's just her problem."
Yeah.
And then his Treasury Board president resigned. And then he said, "Well, that's just the two of them." But then the head of the entire public service resigned. What is going on behind the scenes that is so egregious that everyone has to resign that this Prime Minister is covering up today?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
The Justice Committee looked at this matter. We believe that Canadians should get to hear from witnesses, and that's exactly why the Prime Minister waived solicitor-client privilege for her time as Attorney General. That's exactly why the Prime Minister waived cabinet confidence for her time as Attorney General. The matter that was in front of the Justice Committee was in regards to her time as Attorney General, because Canadians should get to hear. The Prime Minister actually also addressed the nation and answered questions from the media because he recognized that we can always improve on our institutions, and that's the leadership he's demonstrated, and that's the work we'll continue to do.
The honourable member for Kildonan.